Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Great Scott! There's no crying in baseball!
You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
This is where the fun begins.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's right. We're ranking Clown in a Cornfield. Clown in a Cornfield is a 2025 American slasher film based on the 2020 novel of the same name by Adam Cesar. In the film, a teenage girl moves with her father to a downtrodden Midwestern town and becomes drawn into an eerie legacy of its clown mascot turned killer, when the harmless myth of Friendo the Clown turns horrifyingly real. I mean, I wasn't really expecting much out of this movie, and it surprised me a little bit. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's get into why with the 10 essential aspects of a movie. First is plot. Does the movie follow a comprehensive story arc and is plausible within the world that has been created? The plot of this movie was decent. I would say the first half of this movie was honestly fairly boring. I was a little bored because it just followed this very typical slasher format, and that's not a movie type that I really enjoy all that much. That being said, about halfway through, it kind of turns into this comedy slasher film. So that kind of redeemed it for me because the movie starts to not take itself so seriously and just becomes a comedy. And therefore, some of the bad aspects of the plot, which aren't necessarily all that bad, but just aren't that entertaining, are a little more forgiving because the movie is not meant to really be that serious. So I do think the movie does strike a good balance between being a horror film and a comedy film. The horror film aspect of it, honestly, is a little mediocre. I don't think it's that good. The comedy aspect was okay, but overall the story, the plot is good enough to keep your attention throughout the whole movie. Second is attraction. Does the movie have an interesting premise with a high entertainment value? If you enjoy watching those slasher kind of movies and you don't mind a little comedy thrown in there, then you're probably gonna love this movie, but honestly, I don't know that any other audience would really enjoy it. Third is theme. What message or truth is the movie trying to convey? Normally, I don't think these slasher films really have any sort of message or theme. They're just supposed to be entertaining and gory, have some interesting kills. That being said, this movie I did think attempted some sort of theme or a message. Now, the theme is a spoiler for why everything is going on, so if you haven't watched the movie, then I would skip this part unless you just don't care. But otherwise, the message that they were giving here is that these older generations are blaming the younger generations for all of the problems that have occurred in their lives, rather than taking some sort of accountability on why those problems existed in the first place. It's an okay theme. I mean, it's a horror movie, so I really didn't expect one at all. So I give them credit for getting some sort of message out there to a truth that might actually exist in the world on a lower level than just, murderers. But otherwise, I would give them credit for just trying to be unique and just put some sort of theme in there. I have not seen this in another movie before, so I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting reasoning to why everything was going on. Fourth is dialogue. Is there a real feel to the conversations? Of course, this movie is not meant to have a real feel, but it wasn't too cheesy. It did have some cheesy horror movie dialogue, but that is much more forgivable towards the last half of this movie where it becomes more of a comedy. And with it being a comedy, I would say that it was somewhat funny. I didn't laugh a ton, but there were moments that I thought they were being clever and showing, some of these differences and playing fun on the different generations. And I thought that was funny. It wasn't anything great, but it really wasn't bad. I've seen way worse horror movies with much worse dialogue. Fifth is acting. Are the characters convincing? Now, I would say since these slasher films from the 80s were popular, the level of acting has just across the board gotten slowly better and better. But I would not say the acting in this movie is any better than the standard of what a horror movie produces nowadays. There's nothing worth pointing out. There's nothing really that good, nothing really that bad. Six is cinematography. Is there a creative use of lighting, setting, and wardrobe to convey emotion? Now, for a horror movie, honestly, all I'm looking for cinematography is the kills and the killer. Are they interesting? Is the killer interesting? And honestly, not really. I thought it was fairly bland. I mean, it is another clown. You already have, you know, Pennywise, and Art the Clown is extremely popular recently with the Terrifier series. Clowns have just been done before on what the horror genre fans would say on a high level. I mean, those are two very iconic, you know, killer clowns, and there's still some other ones out there, just not very unique. This clown was not unique enough or interesting enough to me to be memorable in any way. Though the movie is decent, the character itself is just not that good. And the kills in this movie were honestly very bland. That's, you know, pretty much the appeal of horror movies is how are these people going to die? And is it going to be in an entertaining way? And I thought they just weren't that entertaining. They were kind of cheesy and not that memorable. Honestly, if you give this any time for me since watching it, I don't know if I will remember more than one or two of the kills that took place in this movie, just because they just were not that memorable. Now, emotion-wise, again, I don't have high expectations. It's a horror movie. It's a horror comedy movie at the best. So the only thing I'm expecting it to be is funny, and it was somewhat funny. But the only other emotion outside of comedy that I felt was this relationship between the main character and the dad. I just enjoyed it. It was something that made me care for them in some sort of way. Unlike every other character in this movie, I just did not care if they died, did not care what happened to them at all, really. Seventh is editing. This is all about the pace of the movie. The movie is an hour and 36 minutes long. That's perfect for me. The plot was interesting enough to keep my attention for the hour and a half, but it wrapped up when it needed to wrap up. That's the length that I think a horror movie should always be. It should be an hour and 30 minutes, maybe an hour 40, 50 if you have some sort of twist in there, but it should never be longer than that. So I think an hour 36 is perfect. Eighth is soundtrack. It's very typical. Honestly, there's nothing worth mentioning. It's not that memorable. I didn't think it hindered it in any way. I didn't think it enhanced it in any way. Ninth is directing. Now I feel the director is in charge of the previous 8 aspects. They're the ones that have to put it all together, give it their stamp of approval, and make a really good movie. Now the director of this movie is Eli Craig, and this was his 3rd film. The 3 total films that he's directed to this point are Tucker and Dale versus Evil, Little Evil, and finally Clown in a Cornfield. Now, I have actually seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's a movie that I just randomly watched and surprisingly enjoyed. That's actually a movie that I would go back to watch again, because it just was, I found it to be really funny. I will admit I do have a very specific humor, and if you don't match it, then I really don't like it. I can acknowledge that it's not, what I think is funny is not objectively funny, but there is a type of humor that I enjoy, and Tucker and Dale versus Evil fit that. So it's not so surprising. That made more sense to why I thought some of the comedy in this movie was better than a typical horror movie. I thought it was actually, you know, got a chuckle out of me every now and then, but this movie is not nearly as funny as Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I don't think it's nearly as good. I haven't seen his 2nd movie, Little Evil, so I can't really speak upon that, but I think he's a good director. It's kind of interesting. I think maybe he just hit my sweet spot with Tucker and Dale, but this movie isn't bad. It's just not very memorable at all. So I can't say he's a bad director, because I do think that there is a place for this kind of genre. There's a massive group of people who enjoy horror movies and horror comedy movies. So I think out of those kinds of directors, he is a good one. I think I would prefer him over a lot of others. 10th is time. Will it stand the test of time? I don't think so. I mean, most of the movies that I review don't seem to really hit this category at all, but the villain is just not memorable enough. There's already too many famous clowns, and this one's just not unique enough or good enough to really stand out. I don't even think to horror fans this will really stand out as any sort of great movie. Honestly, because I'm so late on doing these reviews, I doubt people even remember that this movie came out. I don't think a lot of people went and saw it, but even horror fans, I imagine, barely remember this movie. Now for the review section. Rotten Tomatoes critics gives it a 74, the audience gives it a 57, and IMDb gives it a 56. I'm honestly surprised that the critics gave it such a high score at 74, such higher than the other two. But I think I'm closer to the 57, 56. I would probably be somewhere in the mid 60s myself, maybe lower 60s. The hard thing is, in comparison to every movie ever made, it just is all right. I mean, it doesn't do anything to make me mad, and it doesn't do anything great, which usually puts me in the 70s range as a C. But honestly, the movie is just so bland that I almost put it down a couple points because I just don't know if I'll ever really remember it at all. It just isn't that good. It doesn't have anything to stand out in any way, not even among horror movies. So I would put it in that mid 60s, but I wouldn't be mad if you wanted to make it 70. Now for the rankings. For the year of 2025, out of 19 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be 10th, just below a Minecraft movie and above The Accountant 2. I have it below a Minecraft movie. It's a movie that I would never choose to watch again, but if somebody else wanted to watch it, I wouldn't complain. It's not that bad of a movie, but I just wouldn't choose to watch it. And that's how I am with a Minecraft movie. However, its genre is just better suited for me. I am not a big horror fan. It just has to be really interesting or unique for me to really enjoy it. It just has to really hit some sort of stride for me to like it. And this movie just doesn't do that. And a Minecraft movie doesn't really do that either, but it is a genre I just prefer to watch. It's more lighthearted, and so on the entertainment aspect, I am more entertained and would prefer to watch a movie that is lighthearted than just a very mediocre slasher movie. Now, I do have it above The Accountant 2. Since I haven't done movies in a long time, honestly, I'm kind of surprised I have The Accountant 2 where I have it. I mean, I trust where I put it after I watched it because it has been so long. Maybe I've just forgotten some of the good aspects, but that movie kind of has left a sour taste in my mouth that I did not enjoy that movie that much. So this is kind of easy for me. Yeah, I feel like it's a better movie and I would easily want to watch it. I'd have to go back and kind of remember what some of the things I liked about The Accountant too. Cinematically, out of 19 total movies, it is going to be 12th, just below The Amateur and above Novocaine. I have it below The Amateur. The Amateur is a movie that the reasons I did not like it was just because it was disappointing. It had a lot of potential to be a great movie and just really fell flat on certain areas. They made decisions that I did not agree with, that I thought they could have been more unique and made it more interesting, but they just didn't. But overall, it's a decent movie that has some good things, like the acting is really well done and the story is an interesting, compelling story. But they just kind of fall short on some things, but not because they're bad, but because they're disappointing. Clown in a Cornfield is such an average movie that compared to a movie like Novocaine has, honestly, it's only where it's at because of its uniqueness. I thought it had a interesting idea, but just fell short on performance. Not disappointing, but legitimately fell short. The acting is not that good. The story is okay, but it is unique. It has this, these physical aspects where he's getting beat up, but he can't feel the pain. Like, they're just unique and interesting, and I think that brings something to the art of filmmaking. But Clown in a Cornfield just performs better. As an overall project, it just does better on so many fronts that I feel like it represents film better to not have as many just mistakes, and even though it may not be as unique of an idea. For the decade of the 2020s, on the entertainment side, out of 55 total movies, it is going to be 32nd. Again, below a Minecraft movie and above The Accountant 2. It's there for the exact same reasons as before. Now, cinematically, out of 55 total movies, it is going to be 38th, just below The Amateur and above Novocaine. Again, it's there for the exact same reasons as before. Now, all time, out of 69 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be 45th. Again, just below a Minecraft movie and above The Accountant 2. It's there for the exact same reasons as before. And finally, cinematically, out of 69 total movies, it's 51st. It's below The Amateur and above Novocaine for the same reasons it was before. Okay, that's all I've got for A Clown in a Cornfield. Surprising movie. I thought it was going to be worse than it really was, but that's not saying much because I had a low bar and it ended up just being mediocre when I expected it to be terrible. If you've watched this movie, please comment your thoughts. That's really why I like making these videos at all, and what pulled me back to making them and continuing to try and just get this list down and keep making videos. It's fun to just hear your guys' perspective on what you thought of the movie, and sometimes, you know, expressing things that I never even saw in a movie. I just enjoy having that back and forth. It's the whole reason I started this channel. Feel free to comment a movie you would like me to review. Who knows when I'm going to get to it. I have not been able to get on any schedule. Life has just been busy. I have more important things. I don't make money from this. Can't do anything with it other than just have fun with it. So when life gets busy, this gets put to the side. But I still do have everybody's comments, everybody's movies in a list that I hope to get to at some point when I can get into a stride and put more effort and time into doing this, which I would love to do. Otherwise, that's all I've got. Make sure to, you know, check out any of my other videos if you're interested. I hope to get on some sort of stride. I apologize to the 2 people that watch me that I haven't been able to get back to videos, but I'm hoping to, you know, get back and watch more of these movies because I do love watching them. But otherwise, I'm Mr. Majoritarian. Stay classy, San Diego.